Hey, so I'm Mohammed. I wanted to make this video to show you how you can grow your small one-person tuition business. So you've started offering tuition and you're probably looking around and you're thinking, where are all of the students? You probably were expecting them to just roll in and word of mouth would have just taken over and you would have this, massive tuition business where you can, earn 5K a month, 10K a month. Especially everyone online is kind of showing off that that's what they're doing. And you've probably tried yourself and you're thinking, well, it hasn't worked for you. So in this video, I'm going to go through the different steps, different strategies you can employ today, tomorrow, the next month, so that you can grow your one-person tuition business. So I'm recording this video in July, and a lot of tutors think that July and August is a time when parents don't want a tutor and they want to take a break. And a lot of tutors probably also kind of take that opportunity to kind of take a break, relax. They might be teachers, Now, I appreciate you probably had a long year and you do need a break, right? But the summer is actually the most important time for your business. Now, just because it's not exam season and that you're not getting word of mouth referrals here and then, students are kind of panicking, that doesn't mean that it's not a time for parents that wants your help. Now, all you need to do is offer them some help that they actually care about during the summer. So if your marketing is all about, providing exam help, getting a top grade for your exams, it just doesn't land well for parents because they don't care about exams right now. Whereas your marketing needs to shift to things that they care about, right? So for example, my physics tuition business, we always talk about getting ahead of the class, doing the best in your class, making physics your most strongest subject, securing an A-star before September even arrives. This is your chance to do the same thing, right? So you need to think about what do your parents care about during the summer and then start offering that at an irresistible price / irresistible offer, right? Now, for example, if you're a GCSE tutor, you would start looking at year 10 students and year 10 parents and say, hey, we can help your child get ahead of the class. We can help your child finish year 11 before September even arrives, right? Making an irresistible offer makes it so easy to secure clients during the summer. So don't think about summer being a downtime and resting and parents don't care. This is a time when you just need to offer something different and parents will come and say, yes, I actually care about this. The next thing is the mindset shift, right? So you've probably been inside of your business and teaching and tutoring and maybe sending out invoices and doing the day-to-day jobs, right? Now is the time to start thinking like an entrepreneur and start thinking long-term. So what you need to do is start taking a week out or, a weekend out and start planning, right? Think about the bigger picture and think about where do you want to be and how are you going to get there? I know that there's a bit of a rat race and you're always chasing, you're always running and you're always trying to catch up with your next, clients. But this is the time when you need to think, okay, look, it's a bit slower. I need to take a break. I need to think about what my next month is going to look like, what my next 6 months are going to look like, and how do I secure my income before September even arrives. A lot of tutors wait for the September push, whereas sometimes it doesn't happen. Maybe you've been there before, right? Where September comes and you haven't had any students or any referrals. And you're thinking, wow, this is incredible. Well, my income is now hit and I've got no one to refer me. So you want to be able to secure your income so that you can make financial decisions. No one can say anything about the type of income you're making, and September arrives and it's an even bigger push. Right, so this is the time to secure your income and you need to take a step back and move away from being inside of the business and looking at a bigger picture of where do I want the business to be, who do I want to employ, what kind of business do I want to run. So that's the second thing, right? Taking a step back and looking at the big picture for your business. The third thing is charging a higher price. So look, the summer is here. It's very natural for prices to increase every year with inflation. Now, if you're still charging 15 an hour, 20 pounds an hour, 25 pounds an hour, you've really fell behind the rest of the country. Every other tutor, if you were to hire a tutor yourself, go onto any website and find a maths tutor or a science tutor or an English tutor, and see how much your competitors are charging. And if they're charging 50, 60 pounds an hour and you're charging 20 pounds an hour, you need to think, how does this land with my prospects? Now the parents have a little bit more money, right? So they're going to think, should I invest 50 pounds an hour into a quote unquote more quality tutor, or should I invest in this, cheaper tutor? Maybe it's more quality, maybe it's not, but it's definitely cheaper, right? And in their subconscious, they think, well, higher price means better standards, better quality. I might need to invest in a higher tutor. So actually, even though you're cheaper than the rest, the parents are going with the more expensive one because there's a quality association with a more expensive price. So definitely raise your prices in line with inflation. So if you're at 25, increase it to at least 30, right? But if you want to make a drastic change in your business, you need to go from 25 to 40 minimum, right? 40 pounds an hour, it should be the minimum that you're charging. And it's very hard to find someone online that charges less than 40 an hour. And my suggestion is try and look. Don't even believe me. Go on to whatever website you use and see how much your competitors are charging. And you'll see there's hundreds and hundreds of tutors charging 40 an hour and only a few charging 10, 15, 20 an hour. So increasing your price is super important. Now, the next thing is showing your face, right? So you might be a tutor that doesn't have a business, doesn't have an Instagram, doesn't have a YouTube, doesn't have any kind of social media presence, maybe not even on LinkedIn, right? And you're relying on word of mouth referrals. Now, in this new age, there is a big challenge on trust. So showing your face makes it a lot easier for parents to trust you. Just showing your face so they can see how you look and they can relate to you. Like, oh, that looks like a lovely young lad, or a lovely teacher, or, and showing your face goes a long way, right? Being faceless is quite difficult to build that trust with a parent, especially parents of young children. They don't want to work with people that don't show their face and they don't know who they are, right? So being a person that they can recognize is a big thing you need to start adding to your business. So trust is the biggest thing. I want you to leave this video thinking about trust and why would a parent trust me? Now, when they see your face, they hear your voice, they've seen your videos, you might be creating Instagram videos, you might be creating all sorts of, stuff. That goes a long way with parents trusting you with their children. So trust is massive. You want to be a visible educator if you really want to grow this. Look, if you want to stay at the £1,000 a month range, £1,500 a month range, you don't need to do all of that. Rely on word of mouth. You need probably 3 or 4 students, charging a decent price, and you're there. But if you want to go from 3 to 4 students to 30 to 40 students, there's going to be a big gap because those 30 or 40 students won't know you. They won't know who you are. They won't know what type of tutor you are, right? Because they're not getting referred. Now, when you can show your face, that builds that trust. When you can show your voice, that builds that trust. When you show your type of work you've done, that builds that trust. The next thing is building out systems, right? So systems are going to make your life a lot easier so you can focus on the big picture view. Now, if you're spending time adding events on your calendar manually, creating Zoom links every time there's a lesson, sending out an invoice or a bank transfer or whatever you're doing, you're spending too much time on admin. Now, admin is going to be the biggest killer of your business once you go past the 10 student amount, 15 student amount, because you're spending too much time organizing your calendar, spending too much time chasing down payments. Now, you want to invest in the summer, invest in time building out the systems that you need to grow your business, right? The first system you need to invest in is calendar, right? So we use Calendly for our business. Whichever calendar you want to use, make sure you use it and stick to it. And anyone that wants a meeting with you, they put a meeting with you through your Calendly, right? Invest in Stripe. Now, Stripe takes 2% or 3% in fees, but it saves you so much time and it builds that trust with prospects because they know they can just add their bank information from their quick save bank information and they can pay you very quickly, right? And Stripe also has a monthly recurring payment link. So that saves you even more time. So invest in setting up Stripe, invest in setting up your calendar, invest in setting up on Zoom. Now there's other tools you can use like Tutor, any type of, tuition, business, management software is a good idea to invest in, but that isn't the biggest priority. If you don't have the calendar, Stripe, Zoom set up, that's the biggest difference for your business. And I want you to think, if next week you had 8 new students joining you, can you manage that? Like, is that too much work to deal with? If 8 new students wanted 2 lessons a week, how are you going to manage that? And you need to prepare for that to happen. Now, if you don't prepare for that to happen, in your mind, you're going to think that will never happen. And you'll never be in a position or put yourself in a situation where that can happen. Now, if you invest in the system so you can get 8 new students in a week, and it doesn't affect the amount of time you spend, they book in the meetings automatically, they pay with a link. That's the biggest thing that's going to help you scale. But if you're spending too much time sending out emails, sending out calendars, sending out invoices, you're not putting yourself in a position where you can actually grow the business. Now, the biggest thing a lot of tutors miss out on is growing an email list. Now, an email list is going to be your biggest asset. Now, look, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of these social media platforms, it's very difficult to reach each of your followers. So just because you have 1,000 followers on Instagram, when you post, it doesn't go to 1,000 people. It goes to 100, and then Instagram decides, no, I'm not interested in giving it to anybody else. Now, with an email list, the emails go to those 1,000 people, right? Of course, you have a bit of that go into spam, and some people unsubscribe and stuff, but the emails actually go to 1,000 people. Now, you want to start building your email list. Now, the way you build your email list is by offering something for free in exchange for their email address, right? So this is called a lead magnet. And the lead magnet is something that's so irresistible and prospects feel like will solve all of their problems when they download it. And if they can give their email in exchange, it's such a cheap exchange for them. Now, you can invest your time in creating a lead magnet so you can build your email list. And then once you build your email list, it's an asset, right? It's like gold. It's an asset that can never go away and will always be able to make you more money. So look, those are my final thoughts. There's a lot of steps you can take today that will help your business when September comes. You might be waiting for September and you might say, look, there's no parents around and there's nothing else to do. But if you really want to grow your one-person tuition business, you want to go from being a tutor on the side to having a business that you can start hiring employees. You won't need to tutor anymore. You won't need to send out any calendars or send out any invoices. You have people working for you. Those are the big things you want to start implementing in your business so you can be ready for growing your business. Now look, if you want more help with growing your tuition business, you want more clients, I've left a link in my bio. We help tutors and tuition businesses grow their business, especially during the summer when it's a bit calmer. Click that link in the bio, add your information, and if you're eligible, we'll jump on a call with you and we'll see if we can help you in your tuition business. But yeah, hopefully this is a good video. Hopefully you liked it.